presidential immunity, very powerful presidential immunity, is imperative, or you practically won't have a country anymore.
Donald Trump thinks presidents need sweeping protection from prosecution, but never in our country's history has the idea of absolute presidential immunity been put to the test until today. One of Trump's attorneys argued before the Supreme Court that efforts by Trump to overturn the 2020 election results were official acts and as such shielded from prosecution. We're joined now by Robert Tsai, a law professor at Boston University and the author of Demand the Impossible, One Lawyer's Pursuit of Equal Justice for All. Robert, before we have you comment, we want to play one of the exchanges that really encapsulated the argument over presidential immunity. Take a listen.
If the president decides that his rival is a corrupt person and he orders the military or orders someone to assassinate him, is that within his official acts that for which he can get immunity?
It would depend on the hypothetical, but we can see that could well be an official act.
It could, and why?
Just one of several hypotheticals the justices threw out today to Trump attorney John Sauer. Robert, do you believe he made a convincing argument that presidents should have sweeping protections from prosecution?
Chris, it's great to be with you. I think he did not convince enough of the justices of his primary argument, which is that a president should enjoy the sort of absolute immunity that former President Trump is asking for. This case does look like it's setting up to be one where the justices are interested in using it as a vehicle for some fairly broad constitutional policy making. Many of them were former executive branch lawyers, and former executive branch lawyers who become justices are inclined to protect the presidency. So I do think that you're going to see a somewhat broader opinion than many people perhaps were hoping to see. But I don't think they're going to go quite as broad as what Mr. Trump is asking for. I think Justice Sotomayor in the clip you just showed highlighted just how dangerous it would be if a president got that kind of immunity.
And I know you heard this earlier. Trump's attorney tried to make the distinction today between acts Trump made in his official capacity as president and others done privately. Can you expand on that some more for us?
Absolutely. That is a distinction that comes out of some earlier case law going back to former President Nixon. And I expect that the justices will continue to hew to that line. Now, a number of the justices who've grown up in the Reagan years and in the Bush presidencies, I think would prefer that much more is covered by the notion of a president's official actions. So that's kind of where the rubber is going to meet the road, is how much they're going to define that notion out. But I don't expect them to obliterate that distinction. And that will help those cases where it seems pretty clear that you've got allegations that happened before Trump became president, such as the alleged hush money case. But for this one, I think we're going to have a little bit of a tricky scenario with the justices trying to figure out how much of President Trump's actions in trying to stay in office could be described as official behavior and how much really is beyond the scope of his official duties.
And how about the government's attorney? He essentially argued that the Constitution doesn't give presidents a get-out-of-jail-free card. In fact, he made the case that the founders didn't want another king. How persuasive was he?
I think in general, pretty persuasive. He had a little bit of an uphill battle trying to defend the lower court, the D.C. Circuit's decision, which was pretty dismissive of Mr. Trump's immunity decision. And, even Chief Justice Roberts seemed to dislike, the opinion below as not being protective enough of presidents, putting aside what Mr. Trump is alleged to have done here. A lot of the justices didn't really want to get into the facts of this particular case. So wherever they draw the line, I will be surprised if they protect all of his actions. but they clearly want to think about future presidents. And several of the justices mentioned that they're really worried about prosecutors, independent counsels, chasing presidents after they're out of office for rather small things. A lot of the hypotheticals involve these kinds of scenarios. So I think they're very much setting up to try to be a little bit more protective of a president, but not as far as his own lawyers asking for.
Robert Tsai, law professor at Boston University. Robert, thanks so much for the insight and conversation. All right, Trump.